just finished getting ready for the day, and half of my face I have used the makeup I would normally use, a lot of which is my favourite brand, Charlotte Tilbury, and the other half of my face I have used dupes from Primark. So in this video, we're going to jump back in time. I'm going to share with you the whole application process, swatches side by side, and my thoughts. And then later on in this video, I'm going to show you how well both sides of my face have held up. But before we go ahead, and I do not want you to cheat here, I want you to guess down in the comments which side is the Primark dupe side and which side is the more high-end side featuring a lot of Charlotte Tilbury along with a little bit of Maybelline. Which side is which? And if you can't tell which side is which, does it look similar enough? And if you don't think it looks similar, if you can see a difference, which side do you prefer? I'm Ree from mummyoffour.com. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. We do a lot of like mum life, organisation, all that kind of thing around here, but every now and again we like to have a little play with makeup. So I've been talking about doing this video for ages. I'm genuinely curious to know which side you prefer. I'm really curious to see if they hold up, because makeup application is one thing, but if after an hour it's all gone, what good is that? So let's get back to Ree from earlier today, ready to apply all this for you, and then I'll see you guys at the end of the video for how it looks after being worn in a day in my life. So I'm going to start with clipping my fringe out the way with some trusty Primark clippy things. These come in a pack of many. I use them just all the time for clipping my fringe out of the way to have a shower or put some makeup on, whatever it might be. So I already did moisturising skincare. This is my just naked skin. Let's start with the Primark version of the Hollywood Flawless filter from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the shade Buttermilk. It comes in, I believe, 4 different shades. So up until my birthday last year, so up until October last year, I'd only had the Primark version of this, and I was using it just as an under the foundation highlighter. And then last year I had the shade 2.5. There are so many different shades in the Charlotte Tilbury version. Obviously there are a lot more. Interestingly though, the writing on the Charlotte Tilbury bottle is coming up because I don't keep this on my dressing table. I keep it lying down inside. And then this one I had since then again, and the writing on that's really come off. So I mean, it doesn't really bother me, just it did say Hollywood Flawless filter on it. It was a lot neater. So I've got the shade 2.5 Fair, which is the shade I had originally, and the shade 2 Fair to compare in the Charlotte Tilbury. So I think if we swatch them first, and then we need to go half and half on my face, don't we? That's going to be interesting. I'm really hoping I don't look super lopsided because I do have to take my children swimming and do the school run and things later. So fingers crossed. I'm going to roll up my sleeve so that I can swatch here on my arm. Okay, so we'll start with the Primark version in the shade Buttermilk. This sells for £5 in Primark. So shade wise, pretty kind of pale and kind of in line with my skin tone actually, which is quite pale at the moment. And then if we look at the 2.5 from the Charlotte Tilbury, that's the 2.5 in the Charlotte Tilbury. It's quite yellowy looking. I actually prefer this one. Bizarrely, the 2.5 is the one they told me to buy in the shop. I feel like it doesn't really match my skin tone that well. It does feel quite yellowy for me. And then this is the shade 2, which is perhaps a bit closer to the Primark ones. For the sake of fairness, gosh, the Primark one's quite a lot lighter, isn't it? So we've got the Primark Buttermilk, the 2.5, which is obviously a lot darker, and the 2. So I'm guessing the Primark Buttermilk shade is closer to what the shade 1 must be. Is there even a shade 1 in the Charlotte Tilbury? Anyway, let's take that off my arm so we don't make a right old mess. We're going to do Primark on, which side were we going to go with my face? Okay, we'll go Primark here, we'll go Charlotte Tilbury here. Now, before we apply this, how am I going to blend it in? Quite often I use brushes and sponges, but just in the interest of fair being fair, I'm just going to use sponges to blend things in. Sponges and fingers for blending today. And on the Charlotte Tilbury side, I'm going to damp my sponge with some Airbrush Flawless Finish setting spray. This stuff is kind of bomb proof. And then on the Primark side, I'm going to damp my sponge with the Prep and Perfect Refreshing Setting Spray. I'm going to spray this one. So that's coming out quite wet and thick, I think. So that sponge is, I'm just going to try and keep this stuff separate. And then we've got this side of the Charlotte Tilbury. That feels like a finer mist as I'm spraying that. Let's go Primark first, and we're just going to do high points of my face. I have taken to using this, or the one I use day to day, not the dupe, as foundation. The Primark one, when I was just using this, I used to use as like an underneath the skin highlighter. But I'm going to use this as I've been using like the original version today, and just use it as foundation for a really super glowy look. Can we even see that? How's that looking? Kind of glowy, kind of very glowy. Okay, keeping the sponges separate. And then on this side of my face, I'll use I didn't put any on under my eyebrow, did I? I will do it. I'll go back in and do that in just a second. I am doing one side of my face at a time because I don't want one side to set down while I'm doing the other. Okay, so we'll go back in with both sides. I did do under my eyebrow. I think I put a lot more here, didn't I? I may as well go all out. Why not? Why not look like a glowy, glowy person? Now, I've got to say, I used to use the dupe all the time under foundation. Since having the Hollywood Flawless filter, I've barely touched the dupe version. Will today change my mind? Will I want to go back to it? I think I need a bit more over here. Now what we can do is look at the colour on the sponges. They're exactly the same colour sponges to start. So you go. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury sponge. It is a little more orangey than the Primark one. Buttermilk is quite pale. So unless you are very, very pale, like me, you may want to go for the slightly darker shade or have to balance it out with foundation. So now I don't have any Primark concealer, so we're just going to leave it off. We're going to move on to cream contour, which I'm going to be honest is something I don't do a lot of. I have the cream contour from Primark, which is quite clearly a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury cream contour. Look at both. This is the packaging for the Primark, and here we go, have the packaging for the Charlotte Tilbury. So let's test both on my arm. I have got a tissue at the ready because the packaging on both of these are notoriously messy, so I'm just going to wipe them off to start with. So to use it, you just press up a tiny bit, squeeze it onto the sponge tip. So this one is the Primark colour, which, how does that compare to? So this one's Charlotte Tilbury, and then here we have the Primark. Instantly I feel like the Primark one is a lot more matte and a lot lighter, even though this is the lightest shade of the contour one that Charlotte Tilbury actually does. We're going to give this a go. I'm going to wipe this off my arm before I make a right-on mess. Okay, which side should we do first? Should we do this side first? So we're just going to go under the cheekbone, around the temple, under the jawline. Are we going to contour my nose as well? Okay, and along the nose. There we go. Okay, I rarely contour with cream contour, so this could go one of two ways, couldn't it? This could be excellent or an absolute flipping disaster. Okay, tapping all this in. So this is the high-end version. Still doesn't mean I'm going to get it right. I may still end up looking like a muddy mess on both sides of my face. Yeah, that's looking a bit muddy. Okay, shouldn't have bothered contouring my nose. Actually, a bit of blending, and we're doing okay. Okay, I no longer hate it. So here's the sponge, making a right old mess of that. This is where things could go horribly wrong, you see, because I could end up looking very lopsided for the rest of the day. It seems to be blending okay. I feel like I am looking more orange than I normally do. I'm testing these cream contours because I've got them and because they exist, but it's not something I use day to day. What we might have to do is go back in with some of the lighter stuff. Lids back on these. Are they locked? Locked and loaded, clicked. Oh, this one has actually left a sludgy ring on my dressing table, kind of like it's leaking watery stuff. Next, we're gonna look at, we've got cream blush. So we've got the Primark cream blush, which I think is trying to be a dupe for Pink Gasm, or they just called it Pink when it was in the Disney collection. And then we've also got this, which I've not tried before, which is the matte cream blush, which I believe is trying to be a dupe for, the Pillow Talk Matte Beauty Blush Light Wand, which is so well loved. I've actually got a new one here because I use it so much. So these two are both new. All the others have been used before, so I feel like that's a fair test. Okay, let's just swatch them first. Let's start with this one, because I don't know if this is a dupe for the highlighter. Okay, that's just swelling. Here we have the Primark colour. It's very, very sheeny, kind of like a peachy orangey looking colour. Compared to, is this the same as this? That is not the same, is it? That's not the same. Do you know what I think that might be a dupe for? I thought this was a dupe for the blush. I don't think it is. I don't think that's what they're going for. I think this Primark one might be trying to dupe this, which is the Pillow Talk Beauty Light Wand. Ah, that's what it's going for. Right, I got this totally wrong. So this says it's cream blush with a luminous finish. So therefore, I thought it was trying to dupe the Pink Gasm blush. It is not. This is a dupe for the Pillow Talk Beauty Light Wand, which actually makes this whole video go a lot better because it's a product I can actually use. So Pink Gasm, we don't have a dupe for you. However, we do have a matte one, which I think those will be the same. So wiping these off my arm before I get it all over my clothes. Well, I'm not going to be able to swatch on that now. It's just like, it's just a mess of glitter. Okay, never mind. Let's do the Pillow Talk, which is the one I would normally use up here. And then I would put it under my brow bone. People do put it on the end of the nose and things. I never do, so I'm not going to bother now. As an aside, obviously this is not a makeup channel. And most of my makeup is more like thrown in the direction of my face than it is spent a lot of time doing. I've always enjoyed doing my makeup so much. I think maybe it's like a little respite, a little moment for me within the day, a little way to make me feel like myself, even when the children were little and even when I was tired. Okay, Primark one. And I think I feel like when I'm popping some makeup on, it's like reclaiming me in some really small way. And I think that's what it's about, rather than actually even the finished result. Okay, this is actually quite similar in colour. Like, are the two sides of my face looking that different right now? I mean, looking crazy glowy. I'm going to have to put a bit of powder on because I'm looking kind of insane. But are they looking that different? Okay, so we're glowing. Let's have a look at the matte Beauty Light one. So this I love. This is a cream blush. As much as I don't bother with cream contour much, I use cream blush and cream highlighter every day. And all of them, the Primark and the Charlotte Tilbury, have got the same mechanism. So this one's brand new. It looks lovely and clean, and then you give it a twist, and then you squeeze it, and a tiny bit comes out. Well, far too much actually. And then you close it again. So literally you just, Charlotte says 1 dot for day, 2 dots for disco. We're going to go 2 dots for disco. We're not going to any discos, but just so we can see enough of it. I didn't swatch it, did I? I'll do that again in a second. Joining in the pink and the contour. I'm so glowy. My face looks like shiny. I'm just currently looking shiny. I'm aware of that. Right, so the Charlotte Tilbury is this one. This is the matte Beauty Light Wand in Pillow Talk. How will Primark compare? I did open this. I don't think I've used it on my face. I opened it enough to just swatch it, I think, in my haul video. I mean, it's quite a different colour. The Pillow Talk one looks a lot more muted and browny. This one, so we're going to do the same. We're going to do 2 dots. 2 dots for disco. Well, this one looks a lot more disco. This one looks a lot more pink. It's not necessarily bad though. How are we doing? So we've got the pinky side and the slightly less pinky side. Now, slightly unfairly to the Charlotte Tilbury side, I have got this kind of brown, I don't know if it's a birthmarker. It's not quite scar, it's just something on this side of my face. So that might impact how everything is blending, but just showing up close. Now I haven't got any concealer on. I haven't got any proper foundation on really. I've just got a whole load of glow. I am going to powder down just the centre of my face, just so I don't look quite so insane. I am going to powder down the centre of my face, just so I don't look quite so insane, with some of this, which is the Airbrush Flawless Filter Powder. I should have picked one up really. I don't have a Primark dupe powder, but I'm just going to tidy up just the centre of my face. But I've got to say, I've tried so many powders over the years and I've always thought my skin is too dry for powder. My skin doesn't like powder. Powder does not play well with my skin. And until I discovered this one really, and it just makes such a difference to have the right one. If there is anything that compares with this, any form of dupe, I'm all ears. But this is literally the only powder I can put on my face that doesn't cake because my skin is so dry. So I've got 0 concealer going on here. I would normally wear. My normal routine is my current routine is Hollywood Flawless Filtering 2, just for day to day, and the Beautiful Skin Concealer. So perhaps I should have just done that. But in the interest of being fair as fair can be, the only thing I'm going to add to both sides of my face is powder, just the centre and around my chin. Okay. Now we're going to do, now on my lips it's going to be difficult. We're doing half and half, but I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Lip Oil Crystal Elixir on this side. It's on a ball, like so. And then the Primark Lip Oil on the other side. Now this is on an applicator like this. And both of those feel very nice. I feel like the Primark one is a lot more scented. But lip oil is probably all I'd put on my lips if I was just at home. Then I would use a lip liner and a lipstick if I was kind of going anywhere. So let's just take a very quick look up close, shall we? I feel like the Primark side is perhaps a little more glowy. Other than that, it's looking pretty similar. I'm kind of glad for my sake that they're looking pretty even at the moment because let's face it, who wants to look like they've used 2 different sets of makeup on one face? Okay, mascara. My mascara of choice of late has been this Sky High Lashes from Maybelline. This is not waterproof. This is not a waterproof mascara, but I even tried just letting the water run over my face, not with any soap or anything, but letting the water run over my face like rain in the shower, and it barely budged. There is a waterproof version of this, but I don't like it as much because I feel like it is too sticky. It is too permanent feeling and I have to work too hard to scrub it off and I feel like I'm going to lose half my eyelashes. So this stuff feels pretty bomb-proof, and as you'll see in a second, it really does give my lashes kind of quite a lot of lift and length. This Primark version is clearly trying to dupe it. I mean, could it be more similar? It's blatant copying, let's face it. It's blatant. So I do have Charlotte Tilbury mascara, but I'm going to be honest, I love all the Charlotte Tilbury products, but I find the mascara doesn't stay as well as this one does. So I love the Charlotte Tilbury mascaras, but if there's any hint of it may rain or my eyes may run, like if I've got hay fever or whatever in the summer, then this feels like a safer bet. I'm just gonna apply the one I normally do using my camera viewfinder as a mirror. Mascara is always one of those things that can go on so well, or you can end up poking yourself in the eye, making your eyes water and ruin everything you've just done. Please tell me I'm not the only one that does that far more than I actually should. I'm probably due a new one of these mascaras if I'm honest. It's not brand new, But then, to be fair, neither is the Primark one. I guess the very fairest test would be to have brand new products for both sides of my face, if we were to make this scientifically fair. But I was not about to go and buy all new ones, just so we could do that. So apologies for that. Yeah, this mascara is definitely feeling like I could do with a fresh one. Okay, moving on to the Primark eye. In fact, before we do that, should we compare wands? So this one's the Primark. It's the Maybelline I use all the time. They're so darn similar, aren't they? Now, one thing I have got better at doing when I get older is throwing out mascaras. I used to just keep them forever, and then I saw this video on YouTube with one of the really big makeup YouTubers in America, like millions of subscribers, and she got an eye infection. And oh, see, that's what I did. I just poked myself and I got a mess. I made a mess. This is what I mean. See here. Now we've got to tidy it up. This woman got an eye infection and she had to throw out all of her makeup, and she realised how much of it had been open for such a long time because she gets sent so much stuff. So much of it had been open for such a long time, and she realised how unhygienic that is, especially if it's stuff that's going near your eyes, because you're putting eye gunk and germs back into the tube and pulling it out for how long. So now I am quite strict that after 3 months, which I think is the indicated amount for mascara, I do chuck them out. Now I've got to say, this Primark mascara feels, can you hear it, like wetter, newer, as in I haven't used it as much as the other one. So I'm not feeling this is a super fair test. I feel like there's a lot more product. Oh, that's my stomach grumbling. There's a lot more product coming out of the Primark tube just because I haven't used it as much. I wonder if I've got another one that is newer. This feels really dry. Okay. In fact, this tube, having said that I need to throw things in the bin more, that one needs to go in the bin. I think the plan was when we got back from our trip, I was supposed to take the new one out of my bag. Allow me to grab one. Yes, I remember what I was supposed to be doing now. This is the old one I was going to use up until our trip, and then I was supposed to switch to this one, which I was using on the trip. Right, that needs to go in the bin. That's why it feels so dry and disgusting. Oh, that's better. That feels wetter and fair test now. Okay. So as I was saying, I always am such a good girl and throw out my mascaras after 3 months until I don't. Okay, edit that then. I'm not perfect. I endeavour to throw out my mascaras after 3 months so I don't get an eye infection. I clearly don't always manage it. Right, these now feel a bit more equal, as in both not brand new mascaras, but far from old like the other one was. How do they look in comparison? Do they look pretty similar? Which one looks better? So now we're going to finish off by setting my face in 2 halves, one with the Prep and Perfect. So I'm going to cover 1 half of my face. And then I'm going to cover this half of the face to use the airbrush setting spray. This definitely feels like it comes out in a much finer mist. I am going to just stick a slick of gloss on my lips over the top of the oil, just so I've got a pop of colour. This is one I don't use much at all actually, but whenever I use it I always think, why don't I? Yeah, why don't I use this more? I love this. This is the Maybelline gloss in the colour 003 Moon. Look how pretty that is. Okay. I'm going to take my fringe down. Oh god, I've just realised I've still got that all over my arm and probably going all over my jumper. In all fairness though, now that's dried down, that's not budging, is it? Neither of those are going very far. I'm going to need to take that off with something. Yeah, okay, so both of those are pretty, have got a lot of staying power. Both the Primark and the Charlotte Tilbury, when they've set, look like they don't want to budge. So the question is, how are we liking the finished sides? I was feeling rather nervous, I must admit, when I was putting that cream contour on. I need to sort out my fringe and brush through my hair. But how are the 2 sides looking? Pretty similar? Do we have a preference? So this side is the makeup I would normally use, and these are the Primark dupes. This side is mostly Charlotte Tilbury. The only thing that has crossed the line is a little bit of powder. A little bit of powder, just to kind of powder down the middle. But other than that, oh, I've got a mark up here of Oh, and I have managed to get mascara up on my eyebrow. Well done, Ree. Okay, so we've got the Primark dupe side and the makeup I would normally use, which is mostly Charlotte Tilbury. Do we have a preference? Can we even tell the difference? And I guess the biggest question is really, the big question is not how does it look in this moment, but how will it look in a few hours' time. Stay tuned, the video's not finished yet. We are going to check back later on today, which will be just a few moments for you, to see how all of this has held up. But right here, right now, I would love you to let me know in the comments, have you tried any of these? Have you tried any of the stuff I normally use? Have you tried any of the Primarks? How do you feel they compare? And honest opinions now, guys. Which side looks better? I'm just genuinely thrilled at this point that both sides of my face look quite similar, because honestly I thought, okay, I've got to film this video. I didn't have a day where I didn't have to go anywhere afterwards, and obviously I want to leave the makeup on for the day to see if it actually lasts. So I just thought I'm going to go out looking like two different people have made my face up with two different sets of products. And so far I'm pleasantly surprised, I must admit, pleasantly surprised at how symmetrical my makeup is looking right now. I'm going to do some work. I will see you guys in a few hours. Super quick update before we go out into the wind and the rain to do the school run. So I haven't touched anything up at all. My only kind of takeaway really is the biggest differences. I would say the Charlotte Tilbury side is glowy. The Primark side is a bit more glittery. Do you know what I mean? It's like the pigments are bigger, like a chunkier glitter. So it's like it's more sparkly. And if that's what you're after, or if you're not really scrutinizing it, then that's fine. But I feel like the Charlotte Tilbury side, it's like the particles are small. I think that's the biggest difference I've noticed when kind of looking today. But so far, this is the kind of how it's worn. I will check back in again at the end of the day after I've been out in the wind, the rain, and the joyous swimming pool. Anyone else just loves swimming lessons? Just to clarify, I'm not going in the swimming pool. My children are going in the swimming pool, but you know, being in the changing rooms and all the warmth and the clammy, damp yuckness, you know what I mean. So it is now the evening. We have been out in the rain. I actually feel like my hair is held up like the worst, but anyway. So I've done the school run in the rain. We've been in the swimming baths, which swimming, the least fun part of anyone else this week. Just me? Okay. Anyway, let's have a slightly closer look at what we're dealing with here, shall we? I definitely feel like the Primark side is just more glittery. I've got to say, I don't look like I'm wearing a great deal of makeup at all, because none of the products were really foundation-y, and I didn't put any concealer on. Both mascaras, I'd say, have held up pretty well. It was kind of that gross, damp, in-your-face kind of rain that you can't even get away from under a hood. No mascara has run, so both mascaras, you know, the Primark one, I'd say I probably wouldn't notice any different to the one I normally wear. And yeah, I think it's just these glitter particles that are just more prominent. And I think I'm being really, really picky now because I'm just trying to find some sort of difference. But I'm thrilled that I didn't look like I had two different completely halves of my face, because I honestly thought when I was going to do this, one cheek would look one colour and the other cheek would look a different colour. And I don't think that's the case. But really, I guess, what do you think in the comments? I'm just going to cycle this light through a different temperature to show you. So we can make the light warmer. Does that make any difference? And then make the light a lot cooler. I think when the light is cooler, it's perhaps a bit more harsh and it's a bit easier to see. This is like the normal makeup I wear, not mostly Charlotte Tilbury. These are the Primark dupes. Sound off in the comments. Do you think it looks the same? Do you think it looks different? Do you think, I don't know. What are your thoughts? Which of these products would you try? Which would you avoid? Have you tried any of them? and which ones are you going to dash out and attempt to purchase. One thing I will say is that not every product is in every Primark, so if you see something and you want to pick it up, don't dither, just grab it because it won't necessarily be there when you go back, especially if it's a shade that you're after. And let me know if there are any other like comparison videos and things that you'd like me to do, if you want to see more get ready with me kind of stuff. I love doing videos like this. I know it's not the kind of stuff I do normally, but it's just kind of fun. So I'm going to put another playlist of more like makeup-y, get ready with me kind of stuff on screen, as well as another video you may enjoy. Check out my Patreon for early release content, and I shall see you guys in one of those. Bye.